So, hi everybody and welcome back. This is a C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners and this is video 22. And in this video, we go back to if statements, but we will learn something new. And what we are going to learn new is the Bool variable, which is again a primitive variable. Yeah, let's get started. So first of all, let's delete this one. We don't need this. So, and let's write if statements which make sense perhaps. So let's write, we start with if, and then we write here our condition. This is the construct. And then here we write our code in this body, right, of this if statement. So far, so good. And now let's write a condition. Let's say, and let's use the operator which we also learned last time. We can compare, for example, two numbers. Then we use a compare operator. Let's say 5 is, let's say, greater. This sign means greater, and 4. And indeed, that's, we know this is something which is true, right? We say yes, 5 is greater 4. And what I said, when this checker or condition, now we use no more the word checker, let's use the word condition, because this one is the real real term. And if this condition is true, then the first body will be executed, and in this case it is true, and we write std out, and we write yes, 5 is indeed greater 4. For example, this is just not very difficult, I think, and I forgot, of course, the angel brackets. So after we got this one, we know also the other if cases where how we can this one. We can write here one more condition. Let's do it. How we write one more condition? We write else, and then else, and then again we start with if and a condition, and this time I say 5 is greater 6, and in this case I know this will be not the case. And let's write here a message. We copy this one here, paste this one here, and we write 5 is indeed greater 6. But this one is totally wrong. That makes no sense, because we miscalculated something, or we misunderstand something, and we write here something which is wrong. Let's go on. And we learned also that we can extend this one more time if we want, with again with a else if. So we could write here again more conditions and so if we want, or we could write here an else for the case that nothing of this two condition was true, and then it should print anything out. Or we could say we write nothing, we stop here. That will all work. Let's write a else, the last one, else. We make else means print just this out if one of those conditions are not true of this two here. So let's say else, else I was wrong. Let's say I was wrong, or something like that. So that's not very important, just a message. And I forgot to full stop. Okay, and I forgot, of course, formatting as well. Let's write the formatting here. Old time, make a new line after this one. Do this one as well. Perfect. And save this. So, and here, of course, an N. Oh, all right. So, this is the thing which we learned so far. It is just one example, and when I compile this one and start this one, it should work. And we get here, yes, 5 is indeed greater 4, and all other are not printed out. So we learned this one as well. I said if one condition here is true, all other will be skipped, right? So for example, if 5 is greater 4, as did it say out, yes, 5 is indeed greater 4, this body will execute it, and all other will be skipped because we found one condition for this one which is true. All right, so and what is what we learn now is what this operator actually is. So this we have learned this whole is a condition, right? But we never talked what this condition is, or let's say what the result of the condition is. We just said we compare here something, or we write something in this condition and check if it is yes or false, yes or no. For example, in this case, we said it is 5 is greater 4, yes, or 4 is greater 7, something like so, no. So we say just yes and no. And in programming, this word yes and no has also a special keyword. And I also introduced you that a little bit. I talked a little bit about this sometimes, but I never explained it. So we say, instead of saying yes and no in programming language, they say true or false. Yes means true and no means false. So when you ask a programmer 5 is greater 4, then he will say true. It's yes, means yes. If you ask a programmer is 5 greater 6, for example, he will say false, no. So this is just a translation to programming. Okay, so we have to learn these two keywords. True means yes in our explanation just for the start. Of course, it means not exactly yes, and what I mean with that in later cases we will see in programming, but right now it means just yes. And false means no. So this is the new two keywords, but we learn one more keyword, one more variable. And this variable, what we are going to learn is a variable who uses these two keywords. So till now we learned a variable which was int. Let's repeat this also a little bit. We learned int variable, which is a full number. Okay, my telephone number, something like that. Then we learned a float, a DC number, a decimal number, and then let's make also an assignment that we see what I mean with that. Perhaps let's make a direct assignment and write here, for example, 5, and write here here 6.7f. And these two numbers we learned, but we learned also words, for example, std I think we learned string as well. And then we write here my name. And let's assign here also something. Okay, my name is Mehmet. Good. And then these types we learned definitely. We talked about this. Of course, there are much more. And now we are learning the new type, new variable type. And when I talk about type, I mean what the restriction, the class, which is here in front. And this new type will accept only two assignments, true and false, no more, no less. Let's make a I write now some new variable type. It is called bool, and this bool accepts only true or false. Let's say bool I accept only true or false. And this is how we declare this variable, but also we can, if we know what we want, assign right away. Then we assign a value. For example, true. I accept this one. So, and why is this now important to know this bool variable? This is a very, very, very important variable type actually. And the reason is because it has many, many, many use cases, and it is very easy actually. Why is this variable very easy? Think about it. It accepts only true, yes, or false, no. That's why it is easy and very, very useful. For example, in our if statement, this condition here, it is actually, it converts actually this condition, this comparison here behind the scene to a, let's say not a, let's say it converts it to a bool statement, also bool, let's say to a bool type, which means it will say yes or no. And after that, after it says yes or no, it executes either this bracket, or if it's no, it goes on, it tries to execute this bracket, and if this says also no, it tries this one, and so on. So that's why this is one use case, and that's why it's very important to learn this variable. But there are so many cases which is very this bool variable is very useful too, because you can now with this bool variable actually answer all questions, also the most simple questions, which goes with the answer yes and no. You can ask them and answer them very fast. For example, let's make a little bit examples now with assignment operators, which we learned last time, right? For example, math, comparison, and assignment. And I created here a bool variable. I accept only true or false. Let's use this one. I accept only true or false. We learned a variable we use just by typing it here. And then I can assign here something, for example, a math comparison. I accept only true or false. Let's say 5. Let's say this one here. I said this one will translate behind the scene to a bool value, and a bool value is true or false. Let's see if this is true. When I write 5 is greater 4, and I make here a semicolon, and I save this and I start, and we see nothing at first. We see that what we saw before. And the reason for that is, of course, I have to print this out. So how we can print a bool variable out? Is this even possible? Let's test it. I don't know. So And how we can test it? Very easy. We use again std out. And this time we learned how to print out other variables. For example, in float, we just use the variable name. Let's use here also the variable name. Let's see what happens. Okay, and now that's it. And let's try it again. And we see nothing. That's very strange. So why we see here nothing? That's not expected. I thought perhaps it shows, but in this case it shows not. But there is a way it can make visible, for example, print out the value as bool. I think that I have to introduce then again a new keyword, and that's why let's skip this because then we need more other structures and other keywords, and I won't make it not too complicated. Let's think about that. This one has now here a yes and no. Let's skip this action here because it's not printed out, and say now important is, can we use this variable? Because like I said, when we create a variable, it must be useful. If it's not useful, don't create it or just kick it out. Or yeah, that's very important. So is this variable actually useful? For this case, 5 greater 4, not really, it is just an example. So what we do, we just get rid of it. So, but is this variable useful in our if statement? Yes. If we need, here we ask first, if we need a if statement, it can be useful, but this is just an example again, right? I make here a demonstration of an if statement, and I make here a demonstration how to use this condition, but in general it is not very useful. It's just as useful for a demonstration, but we want to write a program, right? And for a program, this one is not useful. So that means it is time for us to write with this knowledge a program where we give all this kind of stuff, what we learned so far, a meaning, right? Till now we learned if, but we have never trained them. We learned today this bool, which is which takes only yes or true or false, and is a condition, and we have and is included here in this condition statement, but we never trained how to use this because I showed you now only one comparison of two numbers which can be true. But what happens if I compare words? For example, we never trained this one. Let's say I have here my name. How I can use now this one here, but it is possible too. For example, let me show you how we can use words instead of numbers. I copy this one here fast, and I paste this, my name, and I write instead my name, it's your name. And now I can compare words too. I wrote here my name equal. We learned this equal comparison operator, which is which is a double equal sign, and then your name. And now I compare two words, so it must be not numbers as so. And then of course you have to rewrite this one. For example, you should write my name. You say here again, this is a condition. If you say yes, my name is equal your name, in this case it is indeed, then this body will execute it, and we can write, for example, a message. Let's say we have the same name, something like that. And if it's not the case, then we have here, for example, copy this condition. which we write here. Again, replace this one with here. And we learned also some comparison. The opposite of equal is not equal. And there is a shortcut. We write this sign here and make an equal sign after that. So this is a shortcut, and it means not equal. It's the opposite of equal. And then if it's not equal, print out this one here. And let's write here, you have a different name. All right. And else, and important is this else statement, when we have created this kind of if statement, it makes no sense. I mean, it is syntax, so the syntax what we wrote here is not wrong, but when we think about it, what we wrote here, because it can have only two conditions. One is it can be equal, or the second one, it can be not equal, which means one of them is definitely true. And if one of them is true, this last condition will never execute it. Executed means will be never be comes never to this point, because if this is true, then this one prints out and all other get skipped because it's finished with this if statement. Or this one is true, then this one prints out and then all other things are skipped here, what comes after. So this one here makes no sense. Let's delete this, because I said never write something in what is not needed. It's easier for us, it makes the code easier. And with that, we have now compared two words, and we have the same name, and we learned this one true. And this one, let's see, I accept only true or false. That was just an example here, how to write a bool. This one is not used too. Normally we have to kick this out too, but let's keep it as a reminder what we learned today. And yes, that was still a little bit a use case, but still not a program, right? And in the next video, we will start to write a program with all the knowledge which we have so far, because the only way to train all that what we have now is with programs, and of course with variations. For example, we have only used here the equal, the not equal, and let's make again an interesting program where we can train that. But as a very important is we train as a program where we write a program from start to finish. So with that said, I stop here, and in the next video we make an exercise video. We write a program with all the knowledge which we have, and that will be probably a bigger one, because we have not learned much, but what we learned is already capable of writing a longer program. Bye.